All right, so what was that joke again?
Yeah, no.
I don't think we can say that on air.
No.
Okay, so here we are with Athena Ives or Ives?
Ives.
Okay, so first of all, why did you choose that name?
Oh, good one. I legally changed my name almost a year ago. It'll be a year ago, July 5th. Which
I thought it seems like it's been more than a year.
I know, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's I will never forget the date because it's like after Independence Day, and it was like my big independence. Like, it was awesome. It was such a cool date. Like, I didn't choose it; the courts did. But I have kind of a dark preference for entertainment and videos.
Oh, like the joke you just told me.
Stuff like that. Exactly. Yeah. And it's from Ives is from one of my favorite fiction characters off of the show Penny Dreadful.
I never saw it.
Vanessa Ives. It's pretty cool. It has like, you know, vampires and religion, witches, all sorts of stuff. So you have Frankenstein's in it, Dracula, all the mythical, like, it's pretty cool.
So you like Tim Burton then too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I like all that stuff.
I never saw The Corpse Bride. Did you ever see that one?
Yes.
Was that better than Nightmare Before Christmas?
No, they're both pretty comparable. I really liked them both. I just love the art and like
his art's
so
awesome.
Cool.
What about, did he do Frankenweenie? Was that him?
No, I'm not sure. I haven't seen that.
It's like a Schnauzer dog that's turned into Frankenstein, brought back, and it's done in that same style.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check it out.
So you changed so what about Athena?
Athena I chose because she is one of my favorite Greek goddesses. She's the goddess of war and wisdom. And her story really, you know, resonated with me. And I grew to escape and to cope with like the trauma that I had been going through in childhood. I read, and Greek literature, you know, the Iliad and the Odyssey were always my go-to to kind of escape reality. And I just absolutely fell in love with Greek mythology. And I went there. I went to Greece, saw Athens. I went and saw Athena's temple in the Acropolis. It was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my life. I wrote about it in my book, and it just unbelievably emotional. Just so many things that I overcame to get there, and it was amazing. I was there at like 2:00 in the morning, wandering. Well, it's kind of a long story. The flights got screwed up. One of, you know, those ticket counter ladies, they have so much power, it's scary. She let another couple on the flight, but she didn't let me on. So, yeah, it was horrible. I almost got arrested. Like, not really, but I'm surprised I didn't, because I was able to contain my anger because she took that trip away. I was supposed to be meeting up with a tour company, and we were leaving Athens that day. I arranged it to get there a day early, so I had the what do you call them? The people that schedule your flights. I've only used them once, and I will never use them again.
Travel agent?
Yeah. Used that and told her I wanted to get there a day before the tour left so I could have a full day in Athens to, you know, just see the whole city, because the tour was leaving Athens that day. So I got there at like super late, like probably around 12, and went up to the rooftop bar and had a drink. The bartender was like, "You need to go see Mars Hill." And I was like, okay, this is my one chance to like see it. And I was bummed because I couldn't get that. Everything was closed, obviously, so I couldn't go and walk around the Acropolis. But I saw it like all lit up in gold at like 2:00 in the morning. There were, prostitutes wandering around everywhere. And
at the Temple of Athena.
Yeah, no. I climbed up Mars Hill, but you have to be really careful because that rock, it's all marble. Like all like the pathways are marble. So if you're like don't have like good grip shoes on or anything, you're gonna fall. Fell a couple times climbing up, but it was awesome. So amazing, just looking out over the city of Athens, just all lit up. The temples are all. Oh, it was just incredible.
Okay, if you could travel back in time and live for 1 week in any period, anonymously, not in danger, not get sick, not get hurt, what period would you go to for a week?
Probably when I would absolutely love to go see the 7 wonders of the world, like the ancient ones. So how are
you gonna get around in a week?
Exactly.
Ain't no airplanes back then.
It doesn't matter, but
I would go to Egypt. Egypt in its heyday to see how they did that.
Yep.
I mean, because that still amazes me today. And I look at that stuff and wow.
Yep.
And it's so deteriorated. It was like bright colors and everything like that. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. So if I had, probably ancient Greece then.
That's
be
right up there.
Yep. Unbelievable. It was so cool because when when I was there, they found ancient like ruins because they were digging through like to make more like a subway or something, and they found like all these artifacts from. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
That's a dream, you know.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
I was like, why didn't I become a
archaeologist?
Yeah.
Well, you know, growing up watching Indiana Jones,
Yes.
I'm just like,
Yep, same.
Of course, you know, it's never really like that,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and Petra's definitely on my list along with Egypt. So I wanted to do like start in Casablanca and then work my way down and then go to Petra and then Egypt. So
that would be fun. Okay, so let's see. So we're here to talk about, you were an author.
Yes.
First of all, how hard was it to get a book published? Just not the subject of it, just the form of going through trying to get a book published.
The process is, there's a reason not more people publish. And I think I chose a little bit more of the more difficult route because I wasn't willing to compromise for the publishing companies. There are so many books out now. The traditional publishing houses, they aren't going to work with you unless you're, you know, all over the news or special ops and have like, you know, all these incredible ribbon decorations from, you know, stuff that you did while you were in the service. And there's other like boutique publishing houses that, you know, they make it seem like it's such a cool idea and everything that, oh, I'm going to publish, but you have to pay them. Like I was being quoted anywhere from like 5 to 15 grand to publish. And that included, you know, the editing, the book format inside, like they have to design the format, the book cover, all that. So those would be covered in that expense. But then they also charge, you're going to like pay them like 40% of your profits. So they're making me pay them all this money. And that doesn't even include marketing or PR or anything. It was that one deal. And then they're going to, and I was like, wait a second. So they do a lot of people just go and do that route because it's easier. It's not as much work. What I chose to do is finding my own editors, finding my own interior, you know, design. Found someone to help me with the cover design, and I just went and found freelance artists that are doing this online. Like Fiverr.com is really useful for all of those just freelance people. So, yeah.
So, okay, so then how long ago did that process start?
I started writing. The writing process didn't take, but then I went back and edited and re-edited and more editing. But start to finish with the editing, finding editors, after the book was written, probably it's like a year and a half.
That's not bad.
No.
Okay, here's one thing. From where you are now, if you could go back in time and find yourself when you first started this, what advice would you give yourself? So this is to other people thinking if they want to start writing a book. What would you tell them?
Well, every genre is different. So if you're going to be writing your story, like your true story, like I did, you're gonna be doing it different than what other people have done, or you're gonna be writing it different than if you were writing a fiction story. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Because when you have that fiction, you have to stay true to those characters. So there's all sorts of different techniques and stuff that you have to do for fiction compared to nonfiction. But I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I would give myself would be some advice that an editor gave me, which is don't edit yourself. Give it to an editor to do. And the reason why is because the more, and I was terrible with this, I didn't listen, I should have, but the more you edit it yourself, the more you're going to doubt yourself, the more you're going to take out things that you don't think people need to know. And there's, obviously there's going to be a fear of what people will think about the truth, but be as truthful as you can be. And if you edit it yourself, it's going to take that authenticity and that realness away from your book, and the readers will be able to see it. And also, I'm really glad before I published, but I would have probably found it even more valuable to have read what my competition per se it was going to be. So after I had written it, I had went and read all sorts of autobiographies from all different types of people, but mainly who my target audience was going to be. So female veterans in general, and female memoir authors. So I really focused on that, and I wanted to see what would set my book aside, set it apart from the others, because there's so many books out there. What would make mine different? Why would someone want to read mine when there's another story, right here about
okay,
someone
your
else's
title
life?
really stands out.
Yeah.
Okay, now, just to let you guys know, her book is called Thank You for Raping Me.
Yes.
That's gnarly. Mm-hmm. That is a heavy title.
Yeah.
And how hard was it for you to come to terms to even call it that?
Not at all. I chose it because that's like my life. It's my kind of how I take on things. You can use the worst moments of your life to create the best moments of your life. Taking that power back from them and saying, hey, you tried to break me, you tried to hurt me, but you only made me stronger. And it's taking the worst moments in your life and using them to empower yourself to become even better than you could have ever imagined.
So you weren't fearful of putting this out?
I was. Oh, I was terrified.
Okay. So how was that process? Like, say when it first was released, were you like, did it really set in, or was like that moment before?
No, I was terrified. Absolutely terrified, because then it's out there and people are going to read everything. And there's some stuff in there that I burned a lot of bridges. They were bridges that I was never going to ever go back to, but it also, I changed all the names in here, but anyone that, knows me and knows my past is going to know exactly who I'm talking about.
Wait, I hope there's one name you didn't change. Because you guys notice on the back, see that photo on the back?
I know.
I took that photo. I don't know how long ago that was.
That was a while ago.
Yeah. So I'm on the back cover of the book.
Yeah.
But, okay, so tell me the brief, because like you were in the Marines, correct?
Yes.
Okay, give me a brief synopsis of your history of starting the Marines and how this all came about.
Well, I joined the Marine Corps when I was a little bit older. I was 24, and from 2006 to 2010, I had one deployment to Iraq, which was very significant in my life.
How long was that deployment?
Just a year, or not a year, 7 months. So I was there 7 months. But before that, I was drugged and raped twice by Marines that I served with. One that I called him Little Bro, and that really changed a lot about how I had to go into combat. I didn't trust anyone.
Wow.
So, it was life-changing. That whole experience was, and then when I was there, I received some of the worst news of my entire life, and I didn't want to come home. I was extremely suicidal to the point where, not where I wanted, I just wanted to give my life for my country and to save people, but I didn't want to come home. So it was, I've been through a lot. I have been through hell and back, and I'm still alive today, thankfully. Two people in particular this book is for them. They saved my life, and I owe them everything. So a big part of me, survivor's guilt. A lot of people didn't come home, and survivor's guilt to another point where I was raped by my brother when I was 11, and I didn't tell anyone. And he went on to hurt and molest other people as well. My sister, his daughter, my cousin, male cousin, and who else? Who knows who else? And when I received that news about my sister when I was on deployment, and she was born when I was freshman, so I was like 13 years old when she was born. But I was very suicidal at 11 years old. I was researching how to kill myself, how to take amount of pills to take, because I, my brother was raping me, and then I had no one I trusted, absolutely no one I could go to and talk to. So I felt very alone and just hopeless. I didn't want to. There was no future that I saw for myself other than just pain and hurt, and I just wanted it over. But my sister was born, and she changed my life. Like, that little girl was just the love of my life. I raised her and put all of my pain, I just turned it into being the best person I could possibly be for her. And when I was in Iraq, I called home to say happy birthday to her, like I always did. And that's when I found out what my brother has been doing. So talk about survivor's guilt, because I felt so strongly that if I had said something, maybe it would have prevented her from getting hurt.
Yeah.
And then that same night, when I was hearing this news in the military, you have to like sign on, like they have like a phone trailer or whatever little room where you're allowed to call home. This was back in 2008, so we didn't have like Skype or all the freedom that most people do nowadays. But I had to sign up, wait, and then go and use the phone. You were only allowed a certain amount of time. So while I was on the phone, someone was like pounding on the door trying to like tell me my time was up, and it wasn't. And it was one of my friends, and I just, or the worst news of my life, I just saw red, and I opened the door and just cussed her out, let her have it. It wasn't me. Everyone was like, whoa, what is going on here? She was just trying to call home to her parents for a convoy. So I heard that news, and then I, went back to my room, and she was killed that night with 3 of my other friends.
Whoa.
So just that in less than 24 hours, I was like, I didn't want to come home. So it was brutal. And then I met my best friend there, and he saved my life. He got me through it. And I'm home because of him. So.
And what a blessing that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a powerful subject. It's a terrifying subject, but also it can be a healing subject. Mm-hmm. How has this affected other people that have reached out to you?
It's incredible. The amount of people that have gone through similar situations, not necessarily all of it together, but my story resonate, and so many people find it, like they've told me that I took the words out of their mouth or their head, or they had been through those situations. I had a female Marine reach out to me, and she just broke down, and she's like, I didn't know anyone else, this happened to anyone else. And you feel so alone, because most people aren't going to talk about rape. They aren't going, and if they do, it's sugar-coated, and it's very, kind of just hush-hushed, not in detail. It's just like, oh yeah, I was raped. But there's so many different kinds and types, and it affects everyone differently. But from like the background of my, being in like a cult-like church, so many people felt the same. Being molested by a family member, 34% of rape are perpetrated by a family member.
Whoa.
Yeah. And most people don't know that. And just to educate them and to share people my story and to let, show them that this doesn't have to control you. This doesn't have to completely derail your life. It will be with you for the rest of your life. It's, I kind of compare it to losing a limb. It's not going to grow back, but you're still you. You're going to have to learn how to, use a prosthetic and use, figure out how to do things that, but it's going to be different from what you had been able to do before.
And
but
still have the ghost pains.
Yeah. But it doesn't stop you from living your life. I have a Marine friend of mine. She just went to try to climb Everest. She got within 3 hours of it. She's she was going to be the first above the knee amputee to ever do so.
I was watching a thing on Everest last night. That's so weird.
It's incredible. And it didn't stop her. It just empowered her to go even further and push even harder. So I've had a lot of people, men especially, a lot of men have reached out, and it's kind of pushed me in a new direction of where I want to take my next book. I'm working on a fiction series, but I'm also going to be working on a male sexual assault compilation book, because so many of these men reached out and their stories need to be heard too. They aren't getting the recognition like women are, and in my opinion it's almost harder for the men, in my opinion. I think it's harder for them.
Well, because they want to act like nothing bothers me. I can handle anything.
But it does. It really does. It really impacts them. And a lot of them have reached out to me and told me I was the first person they've ever told. And a couple of them are like, yeah, you saved my life. Because just showing them it's not something you have to be embarrassed about. It's very common, actually. It's extremely common. And to hopefully get more of them to come forward and talk about it, I truly believe that it will change how people view rape and sexual assault. Because if all these men are coming forward, and these aren't like, no one ever would be like, oh yeah, that guy's, that person's a homosexual. Because a lot of people think, oh, males can't get raped. It's just they're ashamed. And they, say they got raped because they don't want to admit that they're homosexual. So there's that huge ignorant myth out there that men can't be sexually assaulted or raped. That's so inaccurate. And if more, these alpha men are coming forward and being like, yeah, I was sexually assaulted, I believe that it would change a lot of perception and hopefully get rid of that negative stigma behind, like, believe all women and lying and false accusations and all that stuff. So
did you get any negative feedback from this?
Oh yeah.
Like what?
For example, on LinkedIn, someone accused me of lying about it and making it up to get money. But usually in most circumstances, when people attack, the trolls out there on the internet, you're going to find them. You're going to find haters no matter where you go. Even my own Marines, reached out and said what it was all messed up and called me liar and all sorts of things. Not men I served with, but just fellow Marines that were like, how, the Marines are going through enough. Why would you put that negative stigma on it? And, because
it's not the Marines, it's people.
Well, I put a Marine story of resilience and hope, and he was really offended by that. Yeah. By me sharing that I was a Marine. I'm like, well, I was a Marine and I was raped, and the Marine Corps, I don't blame the Marine Corps. Yeah. I learned a lot of valuable tools that helped me overcome it and move on from it. So, yeah, I had a lot of hate from that. So with the guy, and the reason I don't ignore these is because I can't. And the reason is because there's so many people that follow me and have read my book and different things like that. So if they see these people attacking me and calling me a liar, and they're possibly thinking about going and reporting, if they see that and I don't say anything, they're more than likely going to be like, see, that's another example. No one's going to believe. They don't believe her. Yeah. Why would they believe me? And so these people that are ignorantly spewing their opinions, which are ignorant opinions because they don't know anything about that person. And to get on a public platform and accuse somebody of lying without any background information, they're the problem. They're adding to the lack of reporting. So when I educate them in a very calm and just using statistics and facts, the guy in LinkedIn was blown away. He's like, I am so sorry. He apologized. He took the comments down. He even publicly said he was wrong. So just by educating someone and talking them in a non-emotional manner was able to change the way they viewed things and hopefully prevent them from attacking people in the future and just hey, wait a second, let me think about this. Am I adding to the problem or am I helping with the issue? So
that's cool that you responded that way, and even more that he admitted his fault and he learned. So that's a good thing.
There's some that won't.
Oh yeah. I had trolls for this for my Blink. I had one person said they're all, oh yeah, they're cool, but you still have to attach them to your frame. I said, please show me one picture hanging hardware that you do not have to attach to your frame. But it's no, there's some people that just want to be trolls.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I always feel like I have to say something when it is in regards to lying and sexual assault facts and statistics and different things like that, because if I keep silent, it's just going to reinforce that feeling that no one's going to believe them. So when I had one guy, the trolls that, just will say anything. He was just commenting on my tattoos and some of the modeling stuff I've done. He called me all these names, and he's like, you're such a plastic POS. And I was like, plastic? I was like, yes. I was like, that's all work in the gym. I'm like, that's paying off. If I look plastic, yes, no plastic surgery.
Nice.
But I look like I have it. Thank you. And I was like, oh, thank you for the compliment. He's like, compliment? I got a sandblaster and come and hook you up and remove all those hideous tattoos. I'm like, well, awesome. I'm like, I don't.
Well, if that's what you're into, buddy.
So, and then he got so offended that I was thankful.
Oh yeah, they want to get a reaction.
Yeah.
They want to get you mad, and if you respond the other way, that infuriates them even more. So it's fun.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, oh. All
right, so you got so you say you're going to do a fiction series.
Yeah.
What's that about?
I'm so excited.
And how long you been starting on it? Give me a quick, brief rundown.
I came up with the concept about a year ago, but I was finishing this, so I didn't get started. I'm on chapter 21 right now, but
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I already have the entire. From what I have it planned, it's going to be a trilogy. So the first book is going to be let's say present day. The next book would be the past, how the characters got to that point in the first book, and then the third book would be the future. And it's kind of like American Sniper meets G.I. Joe meets Sin City, so it's really, really dark, but it's based on my past. And
are you a character in it?
Yeah. Of course. There's a male and a female character. So they each have one chapter is their story. And then when they meet, it's interesting because I wanted to share both the men and women's point of view. And when it comes to fiction, I like the movies that are as realistic as possible, because if it's not, you're just kind of oh, okay, on what planet would that ever happen? And I'm the kind of person that I just nitpick at movies, and I'm like, whatever, no one would ever have done that. Come on, that kind of a movie watcher. So I try and stick with what I know. So the main character in it, she's a combat engineer, and I have to spice it up and make it a little more exciting. And she does a lot of stuff that I wasn't allowed to do because I was a female. So now I've gone and...
So you're living vicariously through her.
Yeah. But I've gone and, I'm having people that, special ops guys and other common engineers that have many, many, many deployments under their belt kind of like read through it and be like, yeah, no, that would have never happened. They don't use those kind of terms. They don't use those kind of things in the field. So I'm doing a lot of research on that. And it's a lot more involved than just like a nonfiction, because I want it to be as believable as possible. So they, and I love the Avengers, I love the superhero movies and all that, but I wanted characters that I could relate to. So it's not Thor, it's more like Iron Man. And they basically take 5 females from the different branches and they enhance their abilities already. So the main character, she was trained in hand-to-hand combat and like just martial arts and all sorts of different things. And her enhancement's going to be body hardening. So I did a lot of research on nanotechnology and different like real stuff. Like I don't know if they didn't crossbreed, but they combined like the DNA from like a spider and a goat.
Yeah.
Yeah, for body, like for Kevlar, for body armor.
Yeah.
So it's going to kind of play on that.
Yeah, people don't know how amazing spider webs are.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of play on that, but it's going to be like serum that's injected into her skin. And then she was like, well, why are you going to do it clear? Can't you do tattoos? Oh. So she's going to be all like tattooed up.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah. So it's pretty awesome.
Do you have a deadline when you want to get it done, or you're letting it just organically happen? I'm
just letting it organically happen. I find I'm the kind of writer when I am in the zone, I just write. When I'm not, it's not going to be very good material.
Do you write on the computer?
All sorts. I just got back from a trip volunteering with Team Rubicon, so I got this little mini keyboard and I was like on the iPad doing it, and then I was like jotted down a couple, kind of just scenarios, what the scene's gonna have, what the next chapter is gonna be about. But mostly the computer.
Yeah. All right, cool. So, did you bring in a T-shirt?
I did.
What'd you bring in?
I have a thing for monkeys.
Okay, I don't like monkeys. I got bit by a monkey. A huge chunk out of my arm. When I was 15 years old and I pulled my arm away, the monkey was chewing. He's eating me. So what do we got here?
Where were you?
At my friend's house in Lemon Grove.
There's monkeys out there? Or was it a pet monkey?
Pet monkeys.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so a monkey on a bicycle.
Yeah, with a horn.
Alrighty, so now you got to sign it.
Just anywhere?
Yeah, anywhere you want. I'll help hold it. All right. So now let's go pick you out a shirt out of the collection.
Awesome. And it's a monkey.
Imagine that.
And what is it? What kind of weapon is that?
I have no idea. I just find all the weird ones.
That's like perfect. I would say it's 30 minutes or less.
So let's see it again.
And the show is 30 minutes or less.
Perfect. Well, there it is. That was easy.
It's like a bed shirt.
All right. Thank you.